I'm streaming 8 hours a day to 9 hours a day sometimes. I can't even keep up with all of it. This is insane. Yeah, South Park TV show. Yeah. CNN's dream come true is Trump to be in office and Fox, but CNN needs them. Yeah, I know. Check Serbia smoke bombs in Parliament. Oh, I saw that. Yeah, there were smoke bombs in the Serbia. Yeah, guys, there's something. Like, I'm telling you, like, as soon as, dude.
What the fuck is this doing?
As soon as, like, everybody going crazy. Everybody going crazy. This is in Serbia. They going crazy. Everybody going nuts. Why they don't, I don't know. Why he's sending everybody into a frenzy. Oh my God. Yeah, it's a normal football stadium. No, there's nobody being stabbed.
It's just going cray.
They got flip phones? Do they really? This a gender reveal party? It's a normal day. Yeah. This is, dude, this is their parliament. Look at this. Everybody's wilding out nowadays. Yeah, this is insane. Look at all this. It's different in Serbia. I don't even know why the fuck this happened. I have no idea why this happened. They're protesting worker deaths. All I'm saying is that
what do we want to do?
it sure. Look at them. They're throwing smoke bombs. It's one guy threw it to the other side. Things are getting crazy. They really are. Yeah, missed them. Yeah, exactly. It's a cultural thing. Yeah, they're savages. I don't know about them
change the
being
talent
savage.
tree.
I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying in general, like, this is just...
Changing the talent tree.
It's just wild.
No,
What's
I'm
going
not.
on with this? Like, I don't even know what to say.
Oh, I got new.
It's surprising to see how extreme all this is. Like, I don't know. How does he do it, man?
Oh, I thought he was a pet.
Like, I feel like this is kind of
See
what
this little
happened
thing.
in a lot of cases is that I remember, but one of the reasons why I think Trump didn't get reelected is because people were just fucking like, they were like, man.
Who's this guy?
What
does this say?
This is just crazy. Like, we gotta, like, we're tired, man. What is this? And you walked into 4 more years, maybe 8 more years of this.
Is off the shelves. Also starting to is off the shelves. Also starting today, all U.S.-based companies will be banned from taking part in government procurement. Every year, the province and its agencies spend about $30 billion on procurement, alongside our more than $200 billion planned to build infrastructure. U.S.-based businesses will now lose out on tens of billions of dollars in revenues.
Everybody's playing WoW now.
Uh-oh.
I'm also urging all 444 municipalities to do the same. And I'm thrilled to see some are already stepping up. For example, Mayor Patrick Brown in the city of Brampton and many others.
Are you sitting down reading?
As part of this government-wide procurement ban, we're going one step further.
Good for my little pet I just got.
We're ripping up Ontario's contract with Starlink.
Damn.
It's done. It's gone. We won't award contracts to people who enable and encourage economic attacks on our province and our country. Alongside
Everybody must have left by now.
and the measures my fellow premiers are bringing forward, this Team Canada's...
I just got a new pet, but I can't find him.
Man, and so, and all Trump said about this is that he just said now the beatings will continue until morale improves. Just straight up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure you are.
It's going to be 100% in 2 weeks. Oh my God. They're pissed over that hockey game? I don't know. America deserves to get dicked down for real, for real? I don't know
Where
what's
the fuck
gonna
is my
happen
new
with this.
pet?
Honestly, I really don't know what's going to happen. This is kind of a shock.
Let's see this thing.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Thanks to all of you. No, we will not be ripping up the speech tonight. I would like to frame it in gilded gold, but I'm not sure how to do that from the podium. Welcome you.
You working all night?
If I
You're only there. You out early.
Needs to throw at you. You would have the whole experience. We had a great weekend. Let me give you a recap on a few things. We had a great weekend.
We're going to annex Canada?
Florida. We had the House Republicans gathered in Miami for an NRCC winter retreat.
That stinks.
It's an annual tradition. And
how's Canada going to survive
this? The vibe is so good among Republicans. We had our largest attendance ever, the most members ever participated with their families, and lots of friends and
they can't,
donors and supporters of the cause were down there.
Cave? Yeah, that's the thing, is that
talk.
Man,
cock.
If they end up like I don't know, like cave to what? Yeah, they don't have the he should say they don't have the cards.
With us in a great time. We understand that nobody really wants to talk about 2026 yet, the midterm cycle, but we are, because we are very excited about what that is going to yield. We're in very strong position to defy what is the norm. It's not traditionally expected for a new president to pick up seats in that first two-year midterm for his party. But we are going to grow the majority next year, and we have a great plan.
I saw your sound settings again.
And keep getting more popular.
You're as bad as me.
Democrats are too captured by identity politics still. They won't get away from identity politics, and the fact is also that people like winning. At the end of the day, if Trump gets the mineral deal from Ukraine, after he basically brings them to heel, they will, like, people value strength more than anything. They value winning more than anything. And if you can win, they will like you, and people will vote for you. That's it. More than money.
How do I get rid of this thing?
Yeah.
What did they do to the tree now?
In some cases, yeah.
Oh,
so America's just fascist now? I don't think that really makes it fascist.
And to do that, we will be riding the wave of the popularity of President Trump's policies, and he is doing some things that everybody.
All right, now what do you get with this shit show?
Once all this is signed
what happened
into law,
here?
The American people are going to begin to feel real relief at the pump, in their bank account, and in safer communities. This set of policies is what the president ran on, and all of us ran on, and we'll be checking the boxes along the way. Now, polling continues to show the American people are with us on the issues. In Congress, we have the highest approval rating in 4 years.
This is the problem. Is like this is why I think they're going to win too. Is because Democrats still focusing on like illegal immigrants, trying to conflate immigrants that come here legally with illegals that came over the border and are committing crime. Right? It's like again like unforced errors. Very, very different. Yeah, people like men and women's sports, exactly, right? Like these types of things, like this shit isn't popular. It's not popular with anybody, like except for like a small fringe amount of people. And like if you and you might think that like these issues are like not big issues, they don't really matter. And like in a way, you're right. In a way, you're right. You're right.
TikTok,
but,
YouTube,
like,
and Twitch overlays, so 3 canvases.
You see what I'm saying? Like if it doesn't actually matter, then why do you keep doing it? Why are you holding on to it so hard? Please, you're genuine. Is it?
Can you do that on a tablet? You should get like a fucking cheap tablet.
I think that he is playing
do it at work.
Extremely dangerous game.
Instead of reading your books.
Like I think that there's a lot of people that are probably of the mindset, I want off Donald's wild ride. Absolutely. Like how many of you guys? That's exactly how you feel. Yeah, and it's stressful. It is. Because this is the thing, whenever Trump was president the first time, it was the same thing. Like, every day, there'd be some new caps lock tweet where he's talking about bombing someplace or some other crazy shit. It's every day.
I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, my thing's gone. What? What the fuck? Hmm. What happened?
All right. Settle down. Settle down. Settle. Calm down, boys. Calm down. Damn, y'all got like 5 or 6 retards to sub over that? Nice. Good job, boys. Good job, Mods.
What is happening?
Among Republicans in our party, we have the
Y'all
highest
dumb.
approval rating in over 20 years. You have to go back to August of 2005 to see similar numbers.
What the fuck?
And I think the reason for that is because we're restoring
The
common
books are fine.
sense. And that is the theme that the president
Yeah.
keeps reiterating.
Sure, they are fine.
We're
How
restoring
many you read?
what makes sense to the people. And this contrast between our policies and our ideas and this common sense agenda is very different than our Democrat colleagues. They are defending wasteful government spending right now. They're opposing tax cuts for working families. They're supporting.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think that they're losing the public optics war on is like spending a bunch of money on illegals and shit like that, and on like random USAID things overseas. Even though it's a fraction of the budget, it's not really a big deal. What really matters is the military. You put that out to the public, and the public's gonna think it's fucking ridiculous. That's it. They think it's gonna be fucking ridiculous. Like, average people, okay, what? Yeah, they do.
Open borders in sanctuary cities you heard about this morning. And they're doing all that above the well-being of the American people. And the American people are taking note. And while House Democrats struggle to find a message that has already been rejected by the American people, House Republicans are going to continue to deliver for the country. Speaking of delivering for the American people, President Trump makes his triumphant return, of course. Tonight, as was mentioned, it's 5 years after his
big show tonight.
Address.
Trump.
See, like, if Trump was a G, he would lock the doors at the hearing, at the ceremony, and he would read off the names of all the people that were in the room that were on the Epstein list. That would be crazy. And then arrest them right there. That would be, you want to talk about cinema, that would be it. Yep, like Saddam did that.
It's on at 8 tonight, 8 o'clock tonight.
Definitely not going to happen. But you guys have to agree with me that that would be the most entertaining thing that could possibly happen.
I'm going to watch it. Just cause.
Including himself? No, he just leave that one off.
Joint address to Congress, not a State of the Union, because
What the fuck is wrong with this?
typically delivered on or
The Red State of the
around
Union? Yeah.
sort of the 1-year anniversary, first year in office. But this president is working so quickly.
What
I
the
invite
fuck?
him to come early in the process to give this joint address because there's so much to report to the people, and we're delighted he's going to be there. If he just stood at the speaker's rostrum
It's
and
fucking
read
this
off
one.
all his list of accomplishments since January 20th, we'd be there all night. I don't expect it will go that long. He's going to give a truncated version of this. But there really is so much to celebrate. The president has already notched impressive.
We got to do a bingo for
What the fuck? Am I fucking stupid?
We got to get a bingo set up for this whole situation about the about this event. We do a bingo
wins
soon.
in so many categories. There's a few. Securing the border so well that
Watching
border
it live?
crossings have hit.
This is
an
like 4
historic
hours.
deporting criminal illegal aliens.
I'll sit around for a bit.
Taking on the cartels directly.
That's all I got.
Standing up to terrorists, bringing hostages back home.
Yeah.
Working to secure peace around the globe. Ending the weaponization of government. Bringing investments and jobs back to the U.S. Unleashing American energy. Keeping...
Yeah, nothing like destroying Canadian economy. This will destroy the livelihood of Canadians. Very disappointed in Trump's attack on Canada. Yeah. I'm beginning to think that maybe Trump might be an asshole.
Uh-oh.
Maybe he's
Trump's a
we don't
doo-doo
care.
head.
Yeah, people like.
He's poo-poo head.
I don't think you understand how fed up and fucking annoyed the American public is with the amount of. I think that just money and things that we've done for other countries.
Why is this not the same?
reciprocated.
There's my other one.
I think that this is such a massive sentiment, and it's actually crazy that it hasn't been capitalized on soon.
What the fuck, Ray Ray?
Like what? Like, for example, the way that other countries criticize, like, so this is, you gotta, I don't really agree with a lot of this, but I think this is the way that people see it. A lot of people see America as, like, basically the world police. And they see us effectively providing defense and assistance to all these countries around the world and giving these other countries around the world money, while these other countries criticize and say bad things about us, about our education system, about our healthcare system, about our policing, etc., right? No, we don't. This is what a lot of people think. And I'm gonna tell y'all, now you might not want to hear this. You might not want to hear this. You might not agree with this. You might think it's wrong.
But
you're going to see where I'm coming from. And even if you don't, it's still there. So we see all this money going out to these other countries, going out to defense, going out with disproportionate ratios to other countries. And then these other countries are talking about how we have problems. I think that a lot of average Americans are sick of being made to feel ashamed for being Americans. And so the reason why a lot of the public is behind Donald Trump is because he says, fuck you, I don't care about you, you want to fuck up the Canadian economy and destroy Canada? Fuck them.
oh,
America first. Fuck them. And that's the same with Europe, except for maybe a couple. I feel like a lot of Americans were okay with, like, Poland and France.
when
And
fuck?
ironically, I think a lot of Americans, in a weird way, are kind of okay
I
with,
don't know.
like,
I don't know what
Saudi
I did.
Arabia even. But a lot of these other Western countries, they're not okay with. Not okay with Britain, not okay with Germany, not okay with Canada, etc. We hate France? I don't know. I don't think people hate France. But Japan, yeah, we like Japan. Yep, Japan, we like Japan, and that's it. And so I think that's really what's going on. That's the you know, you want to talk about, like, you know, like the Freud, like, ego, superego, id. That's the id of what's going on here. That's what I think is going on here. That is the essence of what this is. Now, I could be wrong, but based off of how I'm reading it, that's the way that the public thinks. And I think it is a meta level issue that is, like, there's like 50 facets and 50 things that are attached to it. It clearly shows. It does. It absolutely does. We like China because they make all my goods for cheap. Yeah. You guys, I don't know. What do y'all think? You guys agree with this or not? Yes, you're wrong. You sound like a child. Okay. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I agree.
Where the fuck are the rest of the bots?
Yeah, I'm telling y'all, like, this is where Americans are about to find out. I guess so, right? I guess so. But, like, that's the way Americans feel. I don't think hurt feelings justifies Trump's actions. I'm just saying that's the way people feel about it. That's it. Yeah, do Americans like dictators? Americans don't really, I don't think they really care about that a whole lot. Also, I don't think Trump is a dictator. He's just not. Like, I mean, you want to talk about a dictator, like, there are dictators in the world. Trump's not one of them. It's like, this is like, again, like, sound, yet? Yeah, but he will be, but okay, well, when it happens, then I'll make a video complaining about it, right? People use, yeah, this is one of the buzzwords, bro. Like, you gotta stop using the buzzwords. People not listening is getting DR'd. Isn't it bad for the U.S. to retreat from everything, from their interests? We had this before World War II, you know? We did, and I think that
I can't have
people
this.
view the amount of, like, international, like, aid that we give as being
I
asymmetrical.
gotta fix this. I can't
I
have
think
this.
if you polled the average American, you would find that the supermajority of people would come to the conclusion that we give away too much money overseas. Supermajority opinion, I think. Were your neighbors, though? Okay. They don't give a fuck. Like, I don't think that people give a fuck about that. So what? Yeah, so
Don't
what?
give a fuck.
I hate my neighbors. Exactly. It's a Christian nation. You remember when Trump was holding the Bible upside down? Like, well, we're really talking about that. We really think. Come on, what are y'all thinking about this shit for? Right? Come on.
Men out of women's
I'm just telling you,
sports
this is
that
what
the
it is.
Democrats don't seem to agree with us on, and cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, all this has been happening in just 43 days. It's hard to believe
that
it's been in office
motherfucker
43
I
days,
gotta-
and that's just one sample list of what's been accomplished. It is, as our whip said, promises made, promises kept, and we're going to keep that going, and he's just getting started. So we look forward to hearing more about his vision for the future tonight, and we will continue to work with him hand in hand to deliver and implement the American First Agenda and renew the American dream, which is will be the subject of his discussion tonight. So with that, I'll take a few questions.
It's all about that. That's the whole point that he's bringing up. It's all about the idea of being an American and people wanting to reclaim American nationalism and patriotism. And ultimately, Trump doing that by shitting on countries like Canada.
What's up, Travis?
Is a greater goal, and the average population doesn't really give a fuck about like what. I'm gonna be real, boys. I'm gonna just say it. Nobody gives a fuck about what happens in Canada. I don't care. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter. Like they care about what's happening here. That's it. We don't care. Yeah, that's true. And there are gonna be people that don't think this way. There's a lot of people that don't think this way. But I think there's enough people that do think this way in order for it to be the policy.
And yes.
Well, data. Which one is it? Until interface add-ons. There it is.
Well, look, we've been encouraging our members to communicate directly with their constituents.
See what happens now.
To do that, there's lots of different ways.
What a dumb fucking question is that?
Telephone town halls. You can have small subgroups of people from different industries and segments of the community. We find that to be very, very productive and more productive than if you just go to an open forum right now. Why? Because we've seen this movie before. George Soros-funded groups and others literally pay protesters, and I saw my friend Hakeem.
No one gives a fuck.
Decrying that I've said that, but we know that is a fact. Democrat activists who don't live in the district very often.
I do think that in a lot of cases, a lot of these protests do seem artificial. It's the same as those like this is a conspiracy. But you know, like those Patriot front places where everybody says that they're feds, where it's like a bunch of guys that are like military aged and fit, all get out and they're marching around and they come out of a U-Haul. Yeah. I mean, like, I'll be curious to see if we have any more of these now that there's somebody new running the FBI. I'll be curious. Seems a little bit interesting to me.
That seems better.
Go up for these town hall events.
It works.
And they'll go in an hour early and they'll fill all the seats. And so the constituents and the people from the community that are actually represented don't even get a seat.
Okay.
I'm not saying everyone in these, all the Democrats in these
beautiful
town halls that you've seen on television were not.
No, these are all fucked up.
But look, there are people who do this as a profession. They're professional protesters. So why would we give them a forum to do that right now? The best thing that our members can do is communicate directly, frequently, consistently with their constituents, and there are other avenues to do it.
I do think that definitely there has been a lot of like very artificial astroturfing that's been going on. I think that Reddit's probably the best example of this happening. And then other social media platforms have it happening to a lesser extent, where like you have people that have a vested interest in trying to put forward a narrative or put forward some sort of like a viewpoint, and they just do that as hard as they can. What? Twitter's the worst by far? I don't think Twitter is... Well, it is and it's not, right? Twitter is really bad, but Twitter's bad on both sides. Reddit's only bad on one side.
Going in to try to give the other side sound bites. I mean, they're doing this for the cameras. We all know it. And I think it's wise not to play into it right now. So that's my position. Yes.
Over here. Goes over here. Goes over there. This goes over there.
What do you hope to hear from President Trump tonight on what's next for Gaza?
Well, I think we'll have some important information on that tonight. From my perspective, what is happening at the Secretary of State, Department of Defense, and of course all through the White House is well within the President's authority. They have discretion on some of these funds and how to use them. There's been consternation about the announcement that they would pause military aid to Ukraine. And I had a few people asking this morning, well, don't you think that's a violation of separation of powers or something? It's not. The President has authority to do that, to act as the Commander-in-Chief, to use the strategy that he and his team believe is best fit for that. It's not changing or redirecting something that Congress did, unlike the
It's been announced that Ross Ulbricht is one of Trump's personal guests at the speech tonight.
Who is?
Oh my God. Damn.
You remember with Israel, he was basically redirecting
the guy that made Silk Road
categories
put him in jail for a
example,
while.
armaments and bombs that Congress had duly enacted, had voted to send to Israel. They were trying to redirect and hold it in perpetuity. This is different. A temporary pause, I think, is a strategic move by the Commander-in-Chief, and we support that. And so we'll see. I think there'll be more information about it tonight and in the days ahead, and we'll see how it develops.
Mr. Speaker, if you're moving ahead with a clean CR and current spending, does that mean that Congress will be funding programs that may have been eliminated or frozen? And if so, how do you intend to address that?
Yeah, so a clean
Bullshit, don't care.
we will not be funding fraud, waste, and abuse that's already been discovered. As soon as that is qualified and quantified, okay, it will be codified in that sequence. And what that means is we have a deadline of March 14. We don't have time to calculate all the things in major categories to work in an appropriations process in that amount of time. So what will happen is that a clean CR requested and supported by the President and all of us, we will fund the government responsibly, and at OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, and the White House, they will not direct funds to these categories of things that have been shown to be abusive. What will happen on the back end, is the way the procedure works, is that we'll be able to go back later and do rescissions and handle it in other ways. The big savings that DOGE is finding, and I'm very excited about this. I've been meeting with Elon Musk about it regularly. We talk about it often. That will be a part of FY26. We're going to get back.
They got to put them on the fucking military. That's the thing. That's where the money is. Stopping some like gay Sesame Street thing, okay, cool, good. But like, who cares? You got to put them on the military. They said they will.
Restore the process.
It's coming. Yeah,
we'll
I know.
Get a budget from the White House that reflects all of those savings.
I'm
Because
just
there'll be
repeating
time to
myself.
calculate it and do that. And then we will begin the appropriations process for FY26. I think it's going to be a very exciting development because we're going to do it differently than it's been done in years. We'll have whole categories, big savings, I believe, that will change the equation.
Lots of concerns from the business community, from Americans. What is your message to those who are very worried that we could be at the start of a long and painful trade war?
Well, look, I don't think anybody envisions a trade war or looks forward to that, but I do think President Trump makes a great point. I've always thought of myself, I came up as a Reagan Republican, and we believe in free markets and free trade. And the president was really ahead of his time. Back in 2015, 2016, when he first began to run for president, he would often correct us. He'd say, yes, free trade, but fair trade. And he made a great point. I mean, a lot of people had blinders on. There was all these countries around the world that have taken advantage of America. The America First agenda is to reset.
This is the way a lot of people feel right here. Like what he's saying right here, this is the way people feel. And you might not like it, but this is what it is.
That those relationships. And his idea of reciprocal tariffs policies is actually really comports with common sense. I mean, if we have a country that we have a huge trade imbalance with because they're charging 100% tariff on imports from the U.S., well, then we need to bring that down. How do we bring it down? By giving them a dose of their own medicine. Now, this is not an adversarial thing. This is to...
Yeah, absolutely. In some cases it is, and I don't think that they have a problem with it being adversarial. It's not reciprocal? Well, I don't know. Sometimes it probably is, sometimes it's not. But like that, I don't think people give a fuck if it's reciprocal or not.
Continue good relationships and trade policy. So I think this initiative will achieve that desired result. My suspicion is if there's a country that's charging us hypothetically 100% tariffs on imports and we do the same, they will begin to lower those import tariffs pretty quickly. And you will get back to a point of equilibrium that does resemble free trade again. I think that's good for the American people and for our country. And as the president said, it just have a little patience with this. Let it play out, see how it develops. And I think at the end of the day, America is going to be better off. American consumers, American families, and all of us as a nation and as a people. So we support it, and we'll see what happens. And thank y'all for being here this morning. Thank you.
Man. Do you think America can self-sustain? I don't know. Canada wasn't charging us 100% tariffs, so why is Trump going to go after them? Because he's not charging Canada 100%. He was charging them 25%, right? And so this is really what's going to happen. Republicans are united. They are. And I think that the problem also is that there's no messaging, there's no Democratic messaging that isn't just basically anti-Trump screeching. There's not like a lot of policy that I think resonates with average voters. Like pretty much every policy position that is like popular at least on social media right now with Democrats is a bunch of like weird identity bullshit where it's like, you know, people in your echo chamber. Well, guys, I try to tell y'all, nobody wants to listen. People never want to listen because they don't want to learn. They don't want to see it happen, but it will. And I'm telling you guys, this is what's going to happen. Now, some people might think I'm wrong, but I keep being right. I do. I keep being right. And if I'm wrong, like the last thing, think about the last shit about being able to gauge where I think things are going to go. I took a video. I might watch that later on. But anyway, so this is really it, right? Avowed. Yeah, I was wrong on Avowed. That's a video game. I think with this political shit, I think that especially with like gauging on what people are gonna think, I feel like I've been on point with pretty much fucking everything. I do, and I think that's why people watch the show. It's because I try to say like. Basically,
we're gonna do this fucking.
This is the way my thought process works, and you might not like this, but I think about what is the most one-dimensional, self-serving, immediate thing that the most people, the lowest common denominator of people, can identify. And whatever that is, that's what people think.
I don't know what to hit.
That's it. And I'm never wrong. That's it. And so a Big Mac, yeah. Great analysis. It might not be, it shouldn't be, but it is. So we put our trust in most retarded people? Well, in a democracy, yeah. Yeah, that's just about right. Yeah, did I react to the stock market crash? There ain't a crash, buddy. 30% is a crash. Let me see. I could look at that in a bit, but yeah, you're the most humble streamer. Well, I am, and the reason why, see, a lot of people think that like being humble is saying that you're wrong all the time. What my point about being humble is that I'm not a person that goes out of my way to. Like, I take W's when I can find them, and I take L's when they are discovered. And that's what happens. And I try to be reasonable. I try to be humble and everything like that, and I am. Of course. You tell us how to achieve this humility. How can you always be right? A lot of people think that a lot of people want things to happen. They want things to happen, and so they believe that they will happen. That's the biggest issue that most people have, is that their entire reasoning structure is based around what makes them feel good and how they feel and how they personally feel, and they don't actively try to have a viewpoint that's respective of like the world, right, or of other people. Does that make sense? It's facts versus feeling. Yeah, basically they look at like how they feel about something, or they like make a conclusion about something. And they don't really, most people don't question their beliefs, or they don't think about it from any other perspective other than their own. Has anyone ever told you that your greatest quality is that you don't have shame? I've been told that many times, in fact. Interesting you should bring that up. I've been told that many, many times.
So,
We'll watch one more of these and then we'll do the bingo, okay, guys?
bingo.
Americans can expect Donald Trump to say many things that are false, including perhaps Russian information. What we will not hear from Donald Trump, however, is the truth.
We know that he's going to
Feeling laggy.
He's going to be completely divorced from reality in terms of what he describes.
Yeah, State of the Union speech is going to be a farce. I think it's going to be a MAGA pep rally.
We can make sure the
A MAGA pep rally, baby.
American people
MAGA
understand
pep rally.
that this man is not keeping the promises that have a real impact in their lives.
Send her back.
I think that even people that don't like, people that are in support of Trump is a lower percentage than people that think Trump is doing what he said he would do. So there's even people that don't like him who admit he is doing what he said he would do.
Exactly. We always take our cues from them. Elon Omar, tonight, President Trump set to address a joint session of Congress, and Democrats are plotting their resistance with plans to disrupt it, I guess. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt joins us right now in studio.
If somebody goes and starts wilding out on this event,
Where are all the people?
it's gonna look so, they're gonna look so stupid. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, they look so stupid if that happens.
Caroline, first off, your first mini State of the Union speech to the joint session of Congress. What's the mindset of the staff and the president?
We're so excited. It's a big day and it's a big night for President Trump. And we know he's going to give a fantastic speech. The theme is the renewal of the American dream. And the renewal of the American dream is underway already. Look at all that President Trump has accomplished in his first month as president. He's going to highlight some of those accomplishments. He's also going to talk about his plans to fix the economic mess that was created and left for him by Joe Biden in his administration. He's going to dive into foreign policy, talk about his intention to end the war in Ukraine, talk about his plan to bring all of the hostages out of Gaza home. And he's also going to make an ask of Congress tonight. We need more border funding to continue with these deportations that have been incredibly successful because of the efforts of this administration, but we need more resources.
Separate from the bills that they're working on in the House and Senate?
Look, the president has been engaged in those negotiations, as you know, with both members of the House and also on the Senate side, too. He's expressed his intention is one big, beautiful bill, but he wants to get the deal done, and you will hear him talk about how Border Patrol and DHS need more funding. We need to deport the tens of millions of illegal criminals who the previous administration led into our country. The administration is doing everything they can, and those deportation efforts are underway, but certainly we need more resources, and we need more...
This is another one of those issues that people go and they try to have about, like, this fucking, like, the illegal immigrants, like, supporting illegal immigrants. This is another, like, dead issue. Like, average Americans don't support this shit at all.
Men and women who want to join this historic effort.
All right, so also you have recruiting up.
That's just the way it is.
Those numbers in December and January. That's got to be encouraging. But tonight at the speech itself, there's going to be some special guests, some of which you can reveal. Looks like the First Lady will have a big roster, including Stephanie Diller.
Yes.
And that is one of the themes. People, law enforcement whose spouses lost their lives in the line of duty.
Yeah, the First Lady will be in attendance tonight, and the guest list that she put together and President Trump put together is phenomenal. There will be everyday American heroes in attendance. Stephanie Diller, whom you mentioned, who lost her husband in the line of duty at the hands of an illegal immigrant. You have Mark Fogel, who, of course, because of President Trump's peace through strength efforts, were returned from Russian captivity. Corey Comparator, who lost his life protecting his family in Butler, Pennsylvania. You'll also have an auto worker, you'll have a steel worker, and you will see exceptional Americans with great stories. President Trump will be telling their stories.
Right, I know you mentioned Elon Musk will be there, staff advisors will be there, the secretaries will be there. You also mentioned there's special guests, and you gave me the idea that perhaps you might...
Kanye West, please.
and tell me who those surprise guests are. Have you decided if you're going to tell me?
I have decided I am not going to tell you. I will let President Trump tell the country later. But there are going to be some very special guests that the president will reveal in his speech. And I also want to mention there will be the mothers of Jocelyn Nungare and Laken Riley who will be in attendance tonight, who of course lost their daughters at the hands of illegal migrant immigrants. And that's what part of the reason President Trump is working so hard on these deportations, and why Congress and Democrats need to get on board with this effort, because the vast majority of Americans are supporting it.
Borders almost shut down. No one expected transformation and progress the first time. So now, yesterday the president announced a pause in Ukraine. Could a call from President Zelensky today change it?
Well, that's up to President Trump to decide. What I do know is that President Trump wants to make a deal. And unfortunately, it has appeared thus far that President Zelensky is unwilling to talk about a real peace agreement. And in order to negotiate peace, you've got to bring both sides to the table. And in any good deal in business and politics, usually both sides leave a little bit unhappy. And I think President Zelensky, unfortunately,
we'll figure it out later.
Realize that at this moment in time. But
I can hear more coming.
Yeah, they're already priming him like he's gonna get fucked with the deal. Like that's just the way it is. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
Deal maker, and that's what he wants to do. He wants this war to end. He wants to stop the killing. He wants to see a ceasefire. And he had an economic agreement on the table, on a silver platter for President Zelensky to sign at the White House last Friday, which wouldn't have just been an economic agreement. It would have been a lifeline for President Zelensky and his country. If you have, American companies and American miners exploring for those rare earth minerals in Ukraine, that serves as an incredible deterrent to Putin into Russia. And unfortunately, that deal wasn't signed because President Zelensky did not come into the Oval Office with the right mindset.
But he has said he would sign it now.
Well,
what a surprise.
Okay. Caroline, I don't know when you rest, because I saw you last night and then I'm watching you today, but you look wide awake and you're ready to go. Are you liking the job?
I love the job, and I'm looking forward to the speech tonight. Everybody
look, I'm not dead yet.
How long will it be?
About an hour.
Sometimes destiny whispers, sometimes she shouts.
We have great guests with great stories to tell.
Always more work to be done.
No, I don't think we're worried about that. I think, frankly,
On to
the Democrats
adventure.
should think about if they should stand up and
Another
applaud
puzzle
for
to
some of
solve?
the things President Trump will be talking about. He's bringing common sense back to the country. Look at Democrats yesterday. 45 Senate Dems voted against keeping men out of women's sports. How?
This is the shit that caused me. This is it. This right here.
I'm out of range.
And I'm telling you, like, I think that people really downplay how important this is.
The fuck is that?
This, to people, is everything. It's like flat Earth. They can't stop themselves? Yeah. Like, as long as they keep trying to push identity politics, they're gonna keep losing. They will keep pushing it. They will keep, yeah, it is. Like, that's the way it works. Good, let them lose. They will. They will keep losing because of this. You did not just say it's like flat Earth, dude. What the fuck? Yeah, I did. It's the same thing, basically. So basically, this is the way I look at it, is that a lot of Democratic positions are so illogical and not based in reality that people will categorically discount everything a person says based off of that one viewpoint. So, like, for example, if somebody says that they believe in the flat Earth, I'm going to assume that they're retarded. This issue is the same thing for a lot of voters. It is. That's it. And so if you tell somebody that, it doesn't matter what you say before and after that, you've already disqualified yourself.
For Azeroth.
You've already told them that you are not a person worth listening to. And that's the bottom line. DEI equals retard? Yeah, exactly, because they're uneducated. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that, like, educated people, like, want trans athletes to compete outside of their gender. I don't think that's not what's happening. It's a gap in logical thinking. Yes, it is such a massive, wide. It's not a gap. It's a grand fucking canyon in logical thinking. And if you push these ideals, average people will reject you completely. That's it. They will completely reject you because it's just so insane. And they don't
need to get closer.
And so they keep trying to push this stuff. It's the wrong hill to die on. That's exactly what's going on. They are picking the wrong hill to die on, and they're shooting themselves. And they won't stop doing it either. Are they the lowest common denominator or smart people? I think both. I think that it doesn't take a genius to see that most men are stronger and bigger than women. You don't need to be a scientist to see this. You're just like, yep, that's about the way it looks. It's common sense. Yeah, exactly. Not only identity politics, Dems keeps pushing it, all Trump voters are uneducated. And that's another thing, right? Is like, if you start talking down to people and calling them stupid, well, these people aren't going to come to your side, right? They're not going to say, oh, yeah, oh, I'm stupid. I'm so sorry. I'm stupid. Please tell me what to think now. That's not how you get people to come to your side. It's stupid and patronizing.
Can you be against that when 80% of the country is for it? So
yeah, exactly.
It is crazy for them to reject with the House.
You'll hear a lot of common sense.
Caroline, thanks so much. Every time you speak, I hear common sense, and you
Thanks,
seem to
Ryan.
really adjust the press room.
Yep, you're talking down to the people you're supposed to represent. Yep, absolutely. And this is just what's going to happen. And I feel like it's going to become more and more common. And we're uneducated, yet we aren't the ones calling it decent dressed girls. Well, I'm not going to try to get into like a trans issue. Like, I mean, I've already kind of made my opinions on like trans issues pretty clear, right? I don't really have, you know, like big opinions or anything like that on the trans issues overall. I don't really. I mean, like, I can see how some people would feel that way, but to me, I just don't really. Like, but I think with sports, that's a separate topic, right? That's a separate issue. And I think that's where people are really coming from, right? I will watch this interview. Where's the interview? There it is. Yeah, this is the one I was going to look at. And then after this, we're probably going to go and watch the, we're gonna do the debate. Not the debate, not debate. The debate is later on, but I guess it's not even a debate. It's just a fucking speech. Somehow I'm sure it'll be a debate. But anyway, I was thinking about the last time I did this with the bingo. We're gonna make the bingo. That's what I meant to say. Isn't it equally retarded to believe Trump and Musk are doing the things in the interest of the American public? Do you really think the public, or even a majority of people, especially Trump voters, will be better off? I think that Trump voters view Elon Musk and Trump as the devil you know, and they view Trump basically as the enemy of my enemy. I think that a lot of people probably recognize that Trump and Elon Musk are not necessarily on their side, but they are on the side that hurts the people that are not on their side. And that, to the average person, is good enough. You give them too much credit? Well, no, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I think people think. Can you just stop hating on Trump every stream? Well, actually, you know what? I think I'm just gonna ban this guy. He's talking about, like, Pepsi Max. No, it doesn't. It's fucking disgusting. Nobody likes Pepsi Max. It's nasty. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so yeah, common sense is good. Yeah, a lot of people think Trump and Musk is controlled opposition. People think that about everyone. They say that about everything. I don't think I've really seen anything about them saying the devil better the devil you know for Trump. I know that. That's because most of the people, the reason why is that most of the people that provide commentary, they don't look at it from a... So, this is, like, I don't think that there's anybody out there that has more of a black pill viewpoint of people than I do.
I don't have a target.
This is a policy that I used to have in my guild. Is that if I ever wanted to do something that was against the best interest of everybody, I would put it to a vote. Because I could always rely on people to vote against their best interest because they're stupid.
I have met with the High Speaker.
I always assume that people are just really, really, really dumb. And because of that, I keep being right. I do, I keep being right. It's nuts. And so, yeah, that right there is scapological to me. Enjoy Pepsi Max, just like that. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to hear anything else from that guy, right? And I think people have perfect representation. How you say the most humble when you call everybody else is really dumb? That's not humble. Because, like, if you can identify what would make a monkey do something, that doesn't mean that you're like a monkey, right? You just need to understand that's the way that people think. And I think that basically people think inside of spheres of influence, and they care about what's happening to them, and then they care about what's happening to the people around them, and then they care about what's happening to their community. And like, I base everything off of this, like I view human psychology as extremely selfish, and I reverse engineer from that perspective.
It's too far away.
So that's basically it. It's proximity of importance, exactly. It's a meme, yeah. So are you America first or not? I am, actually. I think that I want everything that happens to be in the best interest of America. The interests and the best interest of other countries is secondary to me, and it's not as important. I don't care about it as much. Now, I care about it a little bit, and in some cases, yeah, of course, I would want to help them out if I could. But my priority is my country. That's what I care about the most. And I would even say I mean, just I'll say it. A lot of people again would not say this. If there are things that are detrimental for other countries that are positive for us, I would still want us to do them. I would. And I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way that I do. Now, not always. Not always. There's a line. But in a general sense, that's it. How far, though? It depends. It's a very offensive stance towards the outer world, which you have no right. You're right. You take it. You either take it or you don't. And that's it. You're right. You don't have any right to it. No, we don't have any right to it at all. But that doesn't mean you can't take it anyway. And so that's it. And also, I don't think people have a right to like America's money either. And so that's the way that I see things. And I think that it is kind of, in a lot of ways, a very selfish point of view, but I think it's accurate, and I think that's also the way, yeah, it's behavior biology. Yeah, I think that's the way that people think. Why do you believe Americans are more valuable than other humans? I don't. I just think that because they're on my side, it's my country, and I would want them to do that for me. And I think that solidarity and working together is something that makes you more successful. That's it. Yeah, it's just, again, I'm very utilitarian with everything. Like, I don't, like, there's not a lot of ideals with this. Anyway, we'll watch this video. This should be a good one. That was a gotcha? Maybe. The survival? Yeah, that's the way a lot of people see it. Here we go.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for being with us.
Good to see you, man.
Appreciate it.
Great to be here.
Let's go back to the Oval Office Friday.
Yep.
From your perspective.
It's a good time.
Yeah, great TV. As the president said. Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. So we have a 45 minute press conference, and the president normally does this. I mean, I've seen this now 3 or 4 times with foreign leaders where he likes to bring the media in, likes to have a conversation, but answer questions with the press. As you know, he's very open with reporters. And what I noticed is that for the first 25, 30 or so minutes, he tried to sort of bend over backwards to be gracious and kind to Zelensky, even when Zelensky was kind of needling him, even when Zelensky was saying things that I thought were untrue. The president just tried to be diplomatic, right? I think that's his natural instinct in that situation. And then when it really went off the rails, of course, is when I asked, or you had a Polish journalist who asked a question, the president answered it.
So it's their fault, it's Poland's fault this happened?
And I answered it, and then something about my answer just really set Zelensky off. So then he came at me,
so and of course,
and then I
mean, it is definitely like if J.D. Vance was not in the room, there is a, like, I think a 90% probability that mineral deal would already be signed. I think so. I think it would already be signed if he just for some reason wasn't there. It'd already be done.
Back at him, and what I tried to do originally was actually try to diffuse the situation a little bit, because I'm like, we're having this meeting. Obviously, there are 100 television cameras here. Let's try to have this conversation in private. And then the president, as we kept on going back and forth, I tried again to say, well, maybe we should have this conversation in private. And the president was like, nope, actually, I don't want to have it in private anymore. I want to have this actual conversation in public for the American people to see. And I do think that there was just a certain sense of, there was a lack of respect, there was a certain sense of entitlement, and most importantly, look, we can look past all of that stuff, but the president has set a very clear goal for his administration. He wants the killing to stop. And I think that it's very important that President Zelensky and, of course, President Putin, too, they've both got to come to the negotiating table, and that's ultimately where things broke apart. I really don't care what President Zelensky says about me or anybody else, but he showed a clear unwillingness to engage in the peace process that President Trump has said is the policy of the American people and of their president.
That's true, by the way. I mean, like, you're not going to get Russia to come to the table if you're calling them war criminals and murderers. It's just not going to happen. Whether you think it's true or not, it's just not going to happen. But they are. They are. But you don't. If you say that, it's going to cause problems. That's it.
The real breakdown is I think Zelensky wasn't yet there, and I think frankly now still isn't there.
I don't have
but I think
target.
he'll get there eventually. He has to.
My understanding is he tried to get back in, or tried to stay a number of times, and then made numerous calls to come back. Is that true?
So basically they kicked him out, and he's trying to. Oh my god. Oh god. People are so emotionally dense. Yeah. I prefer peace over being correct, to be honest. That's, I think, the way a lot of people see it.
I don't know about numerous calls, but they certainly made at least one request to come back in and continue the conversation. The president was like, look, first of all, they were disrespectful. And second of all, what are we even going to talk about? They've shown a clear unwillingness to discuss the peaceful settlement that President Trump is trying to bring to this situation. I think a lot of Americans are sort of, it's useful to step back and ask ourselves, what is the actual plan here? You can't just fund the war forever. The American people won't stand for it. And by the way, Sean, if you look at European opinion polls, the Europeans aren't going to stand forever for it either. We need to bring this thing to a peaceful settlement. The president was...
I do think that there's definitely, because you have to keep in mind that, like, with the American public, like, we just spent 20 years in an indefinite war in the Middle East, and there is no real end in sight with, like, the Ukraine war. Like, there's not like there's not a goal that's trying to be, like, achieved. It's just basically stop Russia from invading indefinitely. And I think that a lot of people in America are just tired of that, given the context of, like, the Middle Eastern conflicts. Do you guys see kind of what I'm saying? It's like a money drain, right? Basically. That's the way a lot of people feel. And really, it makes sense.
Trying to do that. He'll continue to try to do that, but you've got to have two tango. You've got to have a negotiating partner in the Ukrainians who recognize that, of course they have their views, and of course they're not always going to agree with us, but they've got to participate in the conversation. They weren't willing to do that on Friday, so the president said send him home.
He said today that the war he expects will go on a very long time. I don't know where he's going to get the money to fund that war. I have my doubts that Europe
See,
will...
that's really what it is that people don't want to. I think the American population is very wary of being engaged in another war. Because I would say the average population thinks that one of the reasons why things have been kind of bad is because of that ongoing war. Speak for yourself. For me, I agree with that. I do. I don't want to write a blank check for military support to another country. Yeah, I don't like it. It's too much money.
fund the war to the level that Biden...
Including Israel?
Yes.
How many times do I have to say it? How many times?
And Harris were funding it. And then the issue now has come up whether or not this administration will continue to offer money and arms for this war to continue. Because without America, I would argue the president was right in saying they have no cards.
Yeah, well, Sean, I think our European friends, frankly, are being really, they're doing a disservice to the Ukrainians because their own populations are saying, we're not going to fund this war indefinitely. The American people are saying, we don't want to fund the war indefinitely. So the only thing that is in the best interest of America, of Russia, of Ukraine, and of Europe is to bring this thing to a close. What happened, Sean, is you have Zelensky. He goes to Europe, and a lot of our European friends puff him up. They say, you know, you're a freedom fighter. You need to keep fighting forever. Well, fighting forever with what? With whose money, with whose ammunition, and with whose lives? The president is actually taking a much more realistic perspective and saying, this can't go on forever. We can't fund this thing forever. The Ukrainians can't fight forever. So let's bring this thing to a peaceful settlement.
When I interviewed Zelensky, he wouldn't give me direct answers. I asked him about the mineral deal to pay the U.S. back. To me, there's three phases in this. And my understanding was Friday was supposed to be relatively ceremonial.
It was.
And in that it was supposed to be signing the mineral deal. That's part one. Part two would
I thought it was just going to be one and done. Honestly, I was surprised it happened.
I'm out of range.
Say thank you, Mr. Zelensky. Yeah. Just tell Russia to stop invading if it's so easy. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I think we tried that, right? I mean, it didn't really work.
A ceasefire. Part three would be the hardest part, the negotiated settlement with Putin, who, correct me if I'm wrong, said he's willing to talk peace with Trump.
Yeah, he said he's willing to talk peace, and of course we trust but verify. We want to have the conversation. We don't assume that everything that anybody tells us is true. That's why we want to engage in this conversation. But you're exactly right, Sean.
Somebody says, why blame the defendant? What would you do if it was your country attacked? I don't know. And I think that's an interesting question you bring up. What is the right option? Is the right option to capitulate with somebody who is a bad actor because you're afraid of more of your people getting killed? Is the right option to keep an indefinite war against this person going that kills more of your people? What is the right option? I don't think that there really is one. There's just a different direction.
When the Ukrainians came to Washington on Friday, it was supposed to be ceremonial. You know, there had been some public back and forth, some disagreements, some words spoken in public, and the president was like, let's have this moment. We give some credit to the brave Ukrainian fighters, and of course it's a very brave army that they have there in Ukraine. Let's sign this minerals deal, which importantly does two things. It allows the American people to get some of their money back.
But somebody says, were you taught to give in to bullies? Ideals are very nice, but whenever you write a blank check like that and you put somebody else's name on it and they get killed, I think that you have to think beyond good and evil. It's not high school. It's not, you know, what the right thing, it's not the Bible. This isn't what you're supposed to do. You have to look at what is the best option for the most people. That's it,
I have a deal for you?
And so, how do you handle that? Putin won't stop, man. It'll just be another attack at a later date. There's a good chance that you're right. You check the ability for foresight. You understand Russia had their concerns? Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's like a heckin' Marvel movie. Putin is Thanos. Yeah, exactly. I think people romanticize things like this a little bit too much.
It also shows the Ukrainian people that America has a long-term investment in their sovereignty. You do those things, we'll sign this thing, we'll have a rah-rah moment, and then we'll get to the tough talk of negotiating peace. we couldn't even get the Ukrainians to a point where they could talk about the peaceful settlement. And look, in some ways, Sean, I get it. I get the frustration. I get the rage. It's their country. Of course, it's not our country. But you've got to accept cooler heads have got to prevail. This thing cannot go on forever. This is the important point. I'd say this to of course, most importantly, the Americans who are watching, but people all over the world. When you talk to leaders in private, whether they're Ukrainian or European, when you talk to people in private, they will tell you this cannot go on forever. There aren't enough Ukrainian lives, there isn't enough American money, and there isn't enough ammunition to fund this thing indefinitely. The only realistic pathway to bringing this thing to a settlement is President Trump's pathway. We encourage both President Zelensky and President Putin to follow that path.
Well, I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars have been spent, and this came up in the discussion Friday. The Biden administration called Putin every name in the book, and they've been trying to get the president.
And he's still invaded anyway.
Okay, he's still invaded anyway. Well, remember, it depends if it's a minor incursion. Let's go back to that moment, which I thought troops were amassing on the border. But I go back and I think about this.
From beyond the stone.
And Biden spent all of this money.
It must have been a controlled cave-in.
The media
Champion,
and the
help us
Democrats,
destroy
they
the
want
blockage.
Donald Trump to call him names. And the president addressed that. And then he's
Yeah, you can't do that. If you start calling them names and talking shit, it's like that Bill Clinton clip that we watched the other day. It's just going to put everything in, it's going to throw a wrench in the system.
Speak your piece.
It's going to fuck
I'll
everything up.
contemplate what we talked about.
That's really what's going to happen. Like, you can't do that.
Is that the foreman?
You're not giving him
You
power
were
by doing
right,
that? Yeah.
lad.
It's common sense. How do people not understand this? People don't
Come
understand
on.
it
We
because
can't
they
let
don't
that
want
thing
to.
out of this cave.
They don't want to accept the fact that there is a person who is doing something wrong, but you still need to negotiate with and behave positively towards. I think people really hate that. And so because they don't like it so much, they're not willing to accept it. That's the reason why I think it's happening.
We were
I need to target something.
too late. How many times?
That's my best guess.
Too late.
ready to talk a peace now?
Yeah.
Wait, Granda.
No, it's diplomacy 101, right? Is you have to have a reasonable relationship with somebody to be able to even start the conversation. We have to remember, Sean, Ukraine, half of the country, a third of the country is totally destroyed. The economy is depressed. You've got hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians. Of course, a lot of dead Russians as well. The president wants to negotiate a settlement. How can you negotiate if you can't even talk to somebody? And that's what he said. He's not saying, like, nobody's suggesting, as Secretary Rubio said, no one is suggesting that we give the Nobel Peace Prize to Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
What we're saying is it's important for President Trump to be able to have a conversation. That's not well served by standing up at a press conference and calling the guy every negative name in the book. By the way,
You're right. That's exactly what I was saying. This is only because he has nukes. We're not cordial to Saddam. We call him a criminal, put him on trial, and executed him. Well, even if they didn't have nukes, they still have a much bigger military, right? It's easier to push somebody around whenever they're smaller, right? That's it. Yeah, like there's always, like, again, there's always a power play going on. Yeah, the power of it matters, absolutely.
as we just said, President Biden called Putin every single name in the book. What did it lead to? It led to war, it led to destruction, it led to conflict. President Trump is trying to bring this thing to a close. You got to be able to talk to somebody to do that.
Is the door open? President Trump said Friday he can come back if he wants peace. Is that door still open today?
What President Trump has said clearly and consistently is, of course, the door is open so long as Zelensky is willing to seriously talk peace. You can't come into the Oval Office or anywhere else and refuse to even discuss the details of a peace deal. Look, this is not going to make anybody happy. The Russians are going to have to give up stuff. The Ukrainians are going to have to give up stuff.
I think
you can't come to the Oval Office and say, give us security guarantees. We won't even engage with you about what we're willing to give up. That's been the Ukrainian posture. When that posture changes, as President Trump said, when they're willing to talk peace, I think President Trump will be the first person to pick up the phone.
Well, I got to imagine that.
Yeah, because he just wants to get it solved and make it stop happening, so he has to stop sending military aid over there, right? Let's see how much Russia has to give up. Russia probably isn't going to have to give up as much because Russia's more powerful.
You speak the truth.
That's just the way it is.
Your artifact will repair the awakening machine.
That's really all there is to it.
It will perfect the machine.
Really, no offense, Americans are the most stupid in the world. I don't think that. I mean, this isn't really about America, right? I mean, I think this is. Is this crazy to say? I mean, I don't really think so.
Because of me.
Yeah, Russia will give up nothing. And the USA is more powerful than Russia? Yeah, they are, but is the USA going to put that power on the line because of Ukraine?
Improved.
Probably not. And also, do the people in the United States want that to happen?
Yes.
I think the answer to that is no.
All earthen will awaken.
They're probably...
I think, like, the U.S. is fatigued from fighting wars, man. They're totally tired of it.
Rethinking it. What did you make of European leaders, quote, their voices of solidarity this weekend? Because it's Lindsey Graham, who's been very supportive of Ukraine in this conflict. I mean, he was livid.
Yes.
And he said if they want to now defend their own continent, let them go ahead and do it. Good luck to them.
Yeah, and my message to Ukrainians, by the way, to President Zelensky is, when you've lost Lindsey Graham, that means you need to come to the negotiating table and recognize Donald Trump is the only game in town. He's the only person who I think has a meaningful plan to save that country. But, Sean, here's the problem with the Europeans. And a lot of these guys are our friends, they're our allies. We, of course, the president has a great relationship with a lot of European heads of state, and so do I, but they need to be realistic. And the craziest part about this, Sean, is that...
That's what it is. People are idealistic about this too much. Yeah, I mean, so I also want to say, the mineral deal is a win-win. I think a lot of people see this. I know a bunch of gamers understand this. Each country has a character war level. USA is maxed at 100, China's 80, Russia's 65. Yeah, and Ukraine's not 65. That's just the truth.
Sometimes you'll have European heads of state who in public will puff up their chest and say, we're in it with President Zelensky for the next 10 years. And then in private, they'll pick up the phone and say, this can't go on forever. He has to come to the negotiating table. So I honestly don't care what the Europeans say in public. What I care is what they say in private. And what they need to be saying to President Zelensky is, this can't go on forever. The bloodshed, the killing, the economic devastation, it's making everyone worse off. The only pathway, I think, back to peace and prosperity is what the president is trying to accomplish.
And now we look back in time and we see Joe Biden was beginning to understand that the patience of the American people is running thin.
That's right.
Hundreds of billions of dollars. We're a nation with nearly 40 trillion in debt. I mean, it's too much.
Well, Sean, this is an important point.
Yeah, he's right. Russia's being Putin's bitch. See, this is the problem is that there's so much emotional and charged rhetoric like that, and all of it, it's just nothing.
Enough talking.
It really is just nothing. Like it's not. It doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't do anything. It's pointless.